Welcome everyone to a new episode of Victini News. I am your host, Cuban. The season has finally begun, and we here at Victini headquarters are hyped to report how the Week 1 matches went. I've heard we had some close and some not so close matches. But without further ado, let's check them out. We are starting our Week 1 recap with the match between the Belfast Graffians from Mef Juma and the Oslo Okodogis from Viking. Both should be top contenders for this season. And we start the match with a trade of rocks, until we see Hydrapple use Yawn on Viking's Fluet and then switching out into Blastoise. Fluet uses Light of Ruin to nearly defeat Blastoise in exchange for Fluet itself going to sleep. Now asleep, Mef Juma sees the opportunity to use Shell Smash, and we all know what's coming next. You are correct. Mef greets his Blastoise with a Rapid Spin, and it dies to Fluet's Giga Drain. Lycanroc does get the revenge kill with Stone Edge, but is quickly dispatched himself by the Meowscarada from Viking. Multiscale from Dragonite Mega does not protect it from the massive triple axle from Murga Lopunny, as it gets KO'd in just 2 hits. As the fight continues, Mef gets one turn right and uses Earth Power to defeat the Delphox from Viking, before his own Hydrapple gets defeated by Meowscarada's triple axle, as we go back to a 3v3. Using Zoroark as sacrificial lamb, Runigiris is taken out by Meew's Typhlosion before ending the game with his Mega Lopunny, but not before Meowscarada defeats Typhlosion with a knockoff, for a score and a result of a 1-0 victory for the Belfast Graffians and Meath. Game 2, we have Naito and his Death Valley Houndooms against Mike and his Georgia Drillers, who can get their first win in this Victini division. Let's see. The game starts very good for the Drillers, as Kangaskhan not only takes out Tinkaton, whose only action was putting up Stealth Rocks, but also putting Dragonite low enough that the rocks from Excadrill KO it on a switch in. Zoroark comes in and pretends to be Dragonite with full HP to get the kill on the Excadrill, who, similar to Tinkaton, just set up rocks, and that's it. Weavile manages to get a second KO for the Houndooms as he KOs Rotom Wash, before we got a Venusaur vs Volcarona 1v1. Though I have to admit that the order of moves chosen by Mike were rather inefficient, Quiver Dancing only after getting Leech Seeded and poisoned, and thus the Venusaur took the win against the Volcarona. Kangaskhan comes back in and put Zoroark on low HP, but falls to the Zoroark's Hyper Voice. But at this point, every mon from Naito was low enough for Tyrantrum to come in and head smash his way through Venusaur and Zoroark, adding 2 more kills after he took out Weavile earlier for the 2-0 victory for the Georgia Drillers and Mike. Game number 3 is a Victini newbie in Blind Zero and his St. Louis White Cardinals versus CB Fries and his New York Lokix. Hey, we didn't need to wait long for Stone Axe miss. First turn, it appears, and it happened. But it was an imposter. Maybe that is why it missed. The true cleaver from CB Fries hits his own Stone Axe and takes out the Ditto, who was disguised as Cleavor. Slowking Galar comes in and, thanks to the rocks, barely takes enough damage for Infernape to take it down with 2 Flare Blitzes. But as we all suspected, Infernape is immediately KO'd by Mega Delphox. but not before using Mach Punch, adding a little bit more damage to the Delphox. With his smart combination of U-Turn on Diggersby and Aqua Jet from a Sumo Roll, CB Thrice takes out the Mega Delphox without taking too much damage. Leafeon gets a Sword Stance off to take out Sumo Roll, but has to switch out when Scuffed Diggersby comes back in. After a quick U-turn, Cleaver comes back in and barely doesn't get a KO on Slurpuff, who gets to do damage herself before getting KO'd by the Cleaver the turn after. But this damage was enough for Leafeon to come back in and claim another KO for itself. But with Leafeon barely alive and King Gambit slower, Diggersby comes back in and Earthquakes twice for the 3-0 victory for CB Thrice and his New York Lokix. Last season, Pandemonium had to forfeit his match against Gage, but now we are finally seeing the showdown between the Scarlet Knights from Coach Pandemonium and the NC Noble Roars from They Call Me Gage. An interesting start though, as Gudra doubles his defense with Shelter, but still took over 65% from Gage's Sneasler, and after barely surviving with 2%, Sneasler gets the first KO of the game. Salazzle comes in, but Gage still needed his Mon, so he switches in Garganacl, who we learned cannot be poisoned, even with corrosion from Salazzle. With this knowledge, Garganacl can now easily set up rocks, while Salazzle switches into Umbreon. After a good taunt from Mousehold prevented a Shell Smash from Pandemonium's Torterra, it started its own rampage. No helmet means no issues for Mousehold, as it population bombed Umbreon, Starmie, and finally Torterra, KOing all three of them with a single use, and a lot of hits. Amarouche then catches the flamethrower of Salazzle aimed at the Mousehold before taking it out with a Psychic. Thankfully for Pandemonium though, he does get the kill on Amarouche with Floette, before Sneasler comes back in, eliminates Floette, and Gage wins with a strong 5-0 victory. For their debut, we have the Stormfang Covenant from Solaire Bear against the one who is seeking redemption from his last season, Grixie, and his title town Tarantrums. What was curious to see as the roster was revealed is that there is no weather on Solaire's team. He himself was expecting an Altaria from Grixie, which didn't even show up either. This already puts him on the back foot, and it doesn't help as Crocodile can't kill Mega Scizor with Fire Fang and gets KO'd in return, even with an attack drop from Intimidation, giving us already a small taste of how the rest of the game will go. Fortress tries his hardest to set up hazards, but Scizor uses this time to fully heal and take it out, removing the hazards with Defog as well. As Fortress dies, one Spike survived, but Mega Scizor was full HP again. Grixie's Clefable then sets up rocks, and Scizor takes another KO, removing Roserade from the fight. Sadly for Solaire, we have a repeat of earlier, this time with Clefable tanking all the hits from Araquanid, healing up and slowly KOing the Water Spider. With Ampharos already low, Clefable uses Moonblast 2 more times to take out Ampharos and also the already damaged Trevenant for the 6-0 victory for the title town Tarantrums. What a dominating performance, as he only used 3 of his Pokemons to win this fight. The next match sees Baron in his rookie season with his Red Barons against a MBA veteran and Mew Division leader Roki. Will he be able to fight against this Trick Room team? Let's find out. Baron starts by using Volt Switch with his Rotom Heat, switching into Garchomp, who takes the Pixelate Hyper Voice from Sylveon thanks to his Rosalie Berry. Realizing his mistake, Baron quickly switches into Venusaur. A few turns later, we see Baron setting up rocks as he stays in with Garchomp against Sylveon. Roki gets the call wrong and Baton passes into Skarmory instead of clicking Hyper Voice. But he also gets his rocks up. Then Baron uses Dragon Tail on his Garchomp to switch the Pokémons from Roki around, using the hazards to do some solid damage. But after a few turns, Garchomp finally gets taken down. But not before he gets a single set of spikes up. These spikes are huge. Rotom Heat comes in and crits on Incineroar and takes it out. And after a few turns later, Rotom Heat crits twice in a row against Mega Skarmory and then against Alakazam, taking both of them out as well. Aggron does manage to get a kill back on Primarina. After all of these turns, it already looks rough for Roki. Aggron gets taken out by Venusaur, who in return is taken out by Slowking. Thanks to surviving a Thunderbolt from Rotom, which wasn't a crit, Slowking can also take out Rotom Heat before succumbing to its own poison. With both Mons down and a 2 versus 1 situation, Baron could choose Scizor against Sylveon to get the easy 1v1 and take the game with a 2-0 victory for him and his Red Barons. 3 crits from Rotom is the start to a season I haven't seen before. In our second to last match, we have 2 Shamans now facing off in Victini. DJ and his Bob's Bishops against Wolf and his Ayrshire Claydol. A win early could be a good sign before facing people who could be considered Victini veterans. It is Sand versus Trick Room. Let's see how it went. The Decidueye starts the match with triple arrows and immediately gets a kill on Spiritomb on turn 2, but not before getting burned for it. Both coaches switch so we could have an Alcremie versus Excadrill fight, which again is won by DJ's Pokemon, as Excadrill takes out Alcremie. With Mega Chimecho hitting the field, DJ revealed his answer to it, Tyranitar, who could easily take an Energy Ball, barely losing any HP. A few turns later though, Chimecho finally gets on the board, as it takes out the Decidueye and gets a massive crit on Tyranitar before being taken out by Tyranitar itself. Using the damage done by Chimecho, Snorlax does get the revenge kill for Wolf's team. But it is immediately answered by Clefable, who Moonblasts Snorlax back to its Pokeball, leaving us with a 4 versus 2 in favor of DJ's team. But at this point, the game was already over, as DJ revealed Toxapex and his moveset: Toxic, Baneful Bunker, Haste, and Recover. Without an attacking move, he poisoned the Kommo-o and the Palafin from Wolf, and slowly stalled them with Baneful Bunker and Recover until they both fainted, thanks to the poison. DJ's prep was incredible, as he had an answer for everything Wolf tried to throw at him, giving him a solid 4-0 victory. And for our final match, we have Match of the Week. Recordman and his Munching Munchlax versus Red Sox Alex and his Fighting Lando Tease. Coming directly from a loss in the finals, Alex is ready to make this season his season. His first opponent returns after a few seasons and is ready to show his own skills once again. And the game immediately starts with a 1-for-1 trade, as Talonflame takes out Machamp, but gets KO'd by Gardevoir immediately after. Then we have Mamoswine putting Gardevoir on 12%, surviving a Moonblast with a little bit over 30% HP. Alex, fearing an Ice Shard, switches as Recordman reveals the Ice Shard on Mamoswine. Then we had a Tauros versus Tauros matchup, and we find out that Encanto Tauros from Red Sox Alex and Sheer Force is superior this time, as it takes out the Paldean Tauros from Recordman, who misses his only attack, which was his Stone Edge. Akaldon does get the revenge with a massive Draco Meteor, followed up by Hatteran taking out the Gardevoir with a mystical fire, barely surviving 2 Moonblasts. But that was enough for Sinistcha to come in and claim the kill. Then Mamoswine came in and Icicle crashed the Sinistcha barely surviving with 8% of its HP, using Strength Sap to get to full HP again. Both Pokémons leave the field, as we see more trading going on, with Alex's Noivern taking out Acaladon before Greninja comes in and takes out Noivern. That in return summons Charizard X, who takes out the Greninja, but is then quickly revenge killed by Mamoswine, leaving us again with the Mamoswine vs Sinistcha matchup. We have seen this before. Remember, Sinistcha only took 92% from an Icicle Crash, so surely Alex has this in the bag with a Matcha Gacha or using Strength Sap to get to full HP and taking even less damage from an Icicle Crash. That is what I would say, but Mamoswine one-hit KOs Sinistcha with the Icicle Crash. It was another story of the good old low roll into high roll. And with this, Recordman takes out Red Sox Alex, and the Munching Munchlax take the 1-0 victory. Those were some good games, and we have 5 Pokémons who are currently sharing the top kill leader spot. All of them got 3 kills and didn't get KO'd. And Grixie is already putting himself out there by appearing twice with Clefable and Mega Scizor. Mosehold, after his rampage, is also here, as is the 2 sweepers, Tyrantrum and Lopunny, who swept and ended their own respective games. Continuing, we have Nickname of the Week. After his defeat, we double-checked Solaire's team and found out that his fortress indeed was 20 Octilleries in a shell. Apparently the true fortress was still on vacation, thinking it won't be needed this week. And this was his idea after finding out he was on the team. Officials and members of Anon Victini quickly took out the invaders, as we find both the Octilleries and fortress for their transgressions. And for our set of the week, we got the Toxapex from DJ and the Bob's Bishops. It was amazing preparation from the coach. He came in when it was Como and Palafin left, usually a very dangerous endgame. But the set was perfect to shut down both Dedan's Como and the power of a Palafin, and all without an attacking move. Using Toxic to poison them, and then using recovery and protection moves to prevent them from taking it out, was a masterclass in walling, and shows how important Taunt can be on these kind of Pokémons. It was an amazing set. And finally, our week 2 schedule. Let's see who's facing each other this week. Starting off, we have the Munching Munchlax and Recordman against the Belfast Graffians and Meph Juma. Both coaches won their games in a hard-fought 1-0 victory. I consider them both for match of the week. Let's see which of these 2 teams can remain undefeated. Then we have Mike and his Georgia Drillers against the Fighting Lando Tees from Red Sox Alex. Alex will want to bounce back from his defeat, aiming for his first win against Mike, who wants to remain undefeated in his Victini career. Only one of them will get their wish granted. In our third match, we have Blind Zero with his St. Louis White Cardinals against Viking and his Oslo Okitogis. both lost their week 1 game, so both of them will want to win, to not go 0-2. Who will it be? Well, we'll have to find out, as it is rookie versus veteran once again. For our 4th match, we got They Call Me Gage versus Naito and his Death Valley Houndooms. Gage won 5-0 in week 1 and will want to continue showing off that he will be a main contender this season, while Naito starts on the back foot after his 0-2 loss. All is still open. Will Gage continue to show his strength, or will Naito bring him down to earth? We will have to find out this week. In our 5th match, we have Soler and his Stormfang Covenant against CB Fries and his New York Low Kicks. Soler will want to forget his week 1. Already on the back foot, he will try to use CB Fries as the first stepping stone on his way to recover his differential. Though I'm sure CB Fries will not back down easily, aiming to go 2-0 himself. It is gonna be an interesting match. Then for our 6th match, we got the Red Barons with their coach Baron against the Scarlet Knights from Pandemonium. Baron has tasted blood for veterans and is ready to add another name to his win list. Though Pandemonium didn't start well, he is known for giving up easily. He will throw everything at Baron to stop him from taking off. In our 2nd to last match, we have Wolf and his Erishaya Claydol against Roki and his Twilight Absols. Guys, you better slow down, cause this is a trick room showdown. Both teams like it slow and steady, and you all know that wins races. But will it win Pokemon fights? We will have to see who is the true Trick Room King. And finally, for our match of the week, we have Bob's Bishops from DJ versus the Titletown Tarantrums from Grixie. Arguably 2 of the 3 coaches who have come into this season with a bang. 10-0 is their combined score from week 1. This can only mean that we will see some mayhem here. Can either of them demolish the other one like they did in week 1? Or will it be a fight to the final Pokemon? Whatever it is, you can't miss it. And this is it for this week's episode of Victini News. I can't wait to see the games. I think we have some exciting matches this week. Week 2 has just begun, but I'm already hyped for this season. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you all next week when it is time for Victini News. I'm your host, Cuban. Good luck on your matches and have a nice day.